Just like a lot of you guys here, I fell in love with Chainsaw Man the moment I read chapter 1 back in 2020. I was actually working at a Costco at the time, and this manga really hit home for me. I don't know whether it was because I was at that what do I want to do with my life kind of moment, or the unprecedented events that were happening that year while I was working retail, but this story of a man with chainsaw powers really spoke to me. And I know that sounds silly, but just hear me out for a sec. Chainsaw Man is a story of ambition and finding meaning in our short existence on this planet, heightened even more so with the fleeting lifespans and dangers around every corner that the manga portrays. I mean, can you really afford not to know where you stand in a world where a devil can wipe out 1.2 million people in 5 minutes? Death and dread loom over this setting, and yet Denji, our protagonist, is still trying to find what he lives for. From bread with jam to boobs to winning a woman over, Denji is the personification of the pursuit of happiness. I found meaning in his struggles and his strife. I found meaning in his thoughts and expressions, as simple as they may be at times. I found meaning in Denji. I found meaning in Chainsaw Man. I found meaning in Fujimoto's work. And yes, I have failed to bring up Fujimoto's name until this very moment. For those unaware, Tatsuki Fujimoto is the creator of Chainsaw Man and a fairly young mangaka. At this point, he's only had 2 serialized mangas, 2016's Fire Punch and Chainsaw Man. You can guess which one became popular. However, he has written a couple of one-shots that have gotten some attention since he's published his crowning achievement up to this point. One of these one-shots was the very reason I wanted to make this video in the first place. On April 7th, 2022, Fujimoto released Futsuni Kite Kure, or Just Listen to the Song. And this one-shot really stands out to me for a couple of reasons that I'm gonna get into later on. But first, let's get into a summary so that we're all on the same page here. The one-shot starts out with an awkward love confession between 2 high schoolers, which is pretty conventional stuff for that age. The guy, however, expresses this through a song he made that he uploaded to YouTube. And well, the next day arrives and his classmates have found the video, cause the girl shared it with the class with the resounding reply of sorry. And this guy poured his heart into this song, which we can tell from the few lyrics we get to see. That night though, he feels the right thing to do is to delete the video. However, he holds off from doing that. A little bit of time passes and more people are talking about the video, not necessarily for the song itself, but for something else. Apparently in the YouTube video, a ghost appears at 2 minutes and 48 seconds. And if that wasn't weird enough, some random girl even warns the guy about deleting the video as it would anger the spirits. Wouldn't be a Fujimoto work without some level of supernatural shenanigans, right? But regardless, the numbers on the video are exploding and people outside of the school are gravitating towards this song. People are claiming that there is some deep meaning to this work. A reverse playback of the video apparently reveals a critique of American gun culture. The cat at 30 seconds is representing the sun, there is a skyfish at 2:01. Heck, even translating the song into Spanish has a pro-atheist message. The video passes 400 million views and still people are finding more meaning. But more importantly, the audience is demanding another song. What will he tackle next? What meaning can we derive from his next work? What depths can be portrayed? And in his room, in the same exact way, almost as if this was a recreation, he announces his confession. A second song, titled, Just Listen to the Song. Some more time passes and we find ourselves on a train with him. His video flopped and was globally panned, and he ended up deleting both of his videos, seemingly out of shame. But the girl that he confessed to before comes out of frame and sits with him, and she puts in one of her earbuds into his ear. She's listening to his first song, the one he made specifically for her. She informs him that everyone already downloaded them anyway, and that, admittedly, she herself found meaning in those songs. To her, both songs were about the time in middle school where he sketched her for art class. With that, all he can do is blush and put his head down in his book bag. And that's it. That's the one-shot. Just Listen to the Song is a pretty deceptive piece of fiction. If we are to assume that the main character of the story is a semi-stand-in for Fujimoto, then we get a picture of a creator who resents the direction of his creation. Not saying they hate their work, but rather it's been put upon a pedestal that shouldn't exist in the first place. To quote the one-shot, it would be divine intervention, if you will. Clearly the boy had no intention to comment on gun culture or world without God, but that's what the public derived from it. Let's call this phantom subtext, meanings and implications seen by an audience that frankly the work had no intentions to bring up. At face value, there really isn't any harm from reading phantom subtext. However, such lofty claims and clout for one piece of art, for one artist, can lift to such high expectations that in reality no one could ever reach, let alone top. Pressure builds as more and more people surround you, people start having expectations. What are you going to do? There's really not a good answer for this situation. For some, this is the worst nightmare a creator can face. You're backed against a wall from the very people that lifted you up. Seemingly, it feels as if your creation has turned against you. But all is not lost. There is a way that some people deal with it. On July 13th, 2022, Fujimoto released the second part of the Chainsaw Man manga to confused reactions. It was vastly different from the previous part in every possible way. Aside from name and setup, very little from the first part of the manga carried over. There was a new protagonist, a new goal, and a new tone altogether. Don't get me wrong, clearly there are ties to the first part of Chainsaw Man, but you gotta admit that it's different, right? Right? I think the meaning of Just Listen to the Song is that Fujimoto didn't really do anything different for part 2. He changed some stuff on the surface, but when we strip it away, it's the same story. A struggling teen thrusted upon a fantastical situation with devils in Tokyo while also dealing with being a human and losing some of that humanity. Naoya has the same mannerisms as Makima and even still has control over Denji. The aquarium is the direct parallel with the Morin Hotel in the Eternity Devil arc. And on top of all of that, Fujimoto even released the one-shot days before part 2 dropped, almost as if it was a warning. It's the same song. It's the same song, but this time we should listen. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't look for meaning in Chainsaw Man or any piece of art for that matter. As I said at the beginning, I was in a rough patch in 2020 and finding meaning in this manga helped me. I related to the struggle of Denji finding himself, and I'm still struggling to find myself to this day. Phantom subtext can be good if you have the evidence to back your interpretation and find meaning and happiness in it. Who am I to stop you? But don't let it cloud your judgment of what is actually there. Just Listen to the Song is so deceptive. You keep digging and digging for meaning about it in regards to Chainsaw Man and Fujimoto, but it feels that you're straying farther away from what it's actually saying. The further you dig, it feels like the further you're missing the point. But hey, maybe I'm reading too deep into this one shot. After all, I should just listen to the song.